Hello, this is Brandon from Galaxy Doc Market. Today is May 26, 2024. It is Sunday as I bring you this market week preview for the Memorial Day holiday shortened week of trading from May 28th to May 31st. And I'm going to present to you now that Nvidia has come out with this 10-for-1 split as well as good earnings, how to dominate the market after Nvidia, cutting-edge trading strategies and analysis for Memorial Day holiday shortened trading week. All right, here's the disclaimer. Pause it, read it. If you agree, please move forward. And of course, shameless plug of our x.com/GalaxyDocMarket. Okay, we have a lot of great stuff on there. Go check us out and follow us. Now, so from the Memorial Day shortened trading week of 5/28 to 5/31, okay, this is what we are going to be talking about in preparation for that. And so as I always start out with these, I want to look at what the market and the powers that be are doing instead of telling you, okay? So this is what they're doing. So when you look at the news cycle, we are beginning to see that the consumer demand destruction is alive and well. That is a hashtag. And if you check it out on YouTube or on x.com, it is basically alive and well. It is something that our group has coined. Again, hashtag consumerdemanddestruction.com. Average U.S. vehicle age hits 12.6 years as inflation takes its toll. Guys, consumers are absolutely tapped out. They're tapped out on their credit cards, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and some are beyond that. And I'll go over some of those stuff, especially what Target said in their earnings, which is horrific. All right. So people are not buying new cars, or newer cars. They're just driving their old cars into the ground at this point. And then, of course, China. Everybody's pinning their hopes on China somehow beginning to give us some sort of a lift in the global marketplaces. But, there is exceptionally strong PBOC, and Chinese private sector buying continues on gold. Okay. So what does that mean? If people are buying gold, they're certainly not going to be buying U.S. treasuries, which is basically worthless pieces of you-know-what. And at this point, this is telling us that we are beginning to lose our global dominance and the reserve currency status that I've been harping on. But pay attention to this. And this is why I think this week, gold, after hitting the all-time highs of 24.54 and pulling back to the breakout area, nothing goes up in a straight line. But I think this offers us a nice opportunity on gold futures, folks. Pay attention. And then, of course, in line with the inflation, which the Fed and the BLS continues to deny that is a real problem, is now beginning to hit people on the orange juice prices are squeezing into blue skies breakout. If you don't know what blue sky breakout is, it means is that it's a powerful impulsive breakout, and very, very strong breakout, and there's no more resistance. And how long it continues to break out, no one knows, but blue sky breakouts tend to move on for a while. So again, consumer demand destructions. People can't afford to buy food with their wages, or a lot of people have lost their jobs, or they're buying food on credit card, and they no longer could buy food on credit card because their credit cards are maxed. And now with orange juice price squeezing, and I talked to you about the milk inflation, now we have the orange juice inflation. Get ready for much higher supermarket prices, even though the BLS and our government alphabet agencies continue to deny that inflation is only transitory and that people will find ways to buy food. That is total and utter nonsense. And then, of course, because these fast food chains, especially McDonald's, are now, and Burger King admits consumers are broke. So now they could cut their prices down to $5 your way meal now. They should call it depression meal. Or how about a free meal? If they could go from a Happy Meal or a value meal costing over $15, now bring it back down to $5, couldn't they continue to do things that are necessary to keep inflation down? I'm not going to talk about political stuff here. The value war begins because these companies, and I put McDonald's and Burger King and rest of the fast food chains on the consumer demand destruction list, especially the one I like is Shake Shack, and we'll talk more about that in the coming week. Janet Yellen, I don't know how old she is, but she looks pretty old, folks. All right. octogenarians running our country that should be in retirement homes. However, she is now admitting cost of living is a problem for consumers. Okay, that's how she talks, folks. All right. Did that take a PhD, somebody like her, to figure it out, or is this all by design that this is happening? All right. And then I'm sitting here watching China because everybody, they don't want you, the powers that be, know about China. And here's China right now. Okay, here's from Twitter, x.com. So we have China surrounded, and basically China is preparing for a war with China. Okay, take it with a grain of salt. But these are not being reported by our mainstream media. China wary of SpaceX's Starlink service during Taiwan contingency. What does that mean, contingency? All right, things are escalating, folks. All right, and if you don't think this is going to be a problem, and they've been basically telegraphing to you, they want you to look at what Putin's doing and what Zelensky is doing in Ukraine and support Ukraine, but no one's talking about China and Taiwan. You know, are we supporting one China policy? What is going on with Taiwan? And if this should come, what's going to happen with all the semiconductor companies, especially after Nvidia celebrated such a great earnings and a crazy 10-for-1 stock split, which we're going to go over. Fear and greed, however, while the market is euphoric, they tend to forget that the market is still in neutral. They used to be right here, coming off of this area. All right, maybe the market isn't buying it. Who knows? Maybe some hope, fake, false hope injected into the market may change this. But pay attention to this, folks. All right, fear and greed index is generally contrarian. All right. And, if you look at what's going on around the world with the inflation, with the consumer demand destruction that I talked about, which we'll talk about a little bit more, pay attention to this, okay? Retail investors may be not buying it. Okay, we'll see. Now, I talked about consumer demand destruction, and it's alive and well. You hashtag this on x.com, and you'll see that we've been leading the charge on this particular hashtag. Hey, make it go viral. I don't know. All right. So here we go. Home Depot had a terrible week, right? We had Williams-Sonoma, all right, 25x to 50x trade, guys. All right. This is what we do day in and day out. Okay. And that is part of the consumer demand destruction. And of course, we've got Target basically saying that they're struggling overall. And one of their bright spots was groceries. And then all of a sudden, consumers are not buying groceries from them. You know what? I could go through millions of reasons why people aren't shopping at Target anymore. But that is part of this consumer demand destruction. Now, let's get into some of our directional indicators. And folks, as we were celebrating Nvidia's 10-to-1 split, okay, look here, don't look over there, all right? We're still, in a bullish setting. It's 0.67. We're not up here in the 1.55 or 3.0 level. However, it has been slowly breaking out of this channel, right? We're still range bound. But if we start breaking out of here, we're going to have a scare. It is somewhat telegraphing that something might happen. Okay, and I'll tell you, I'm kind of torn between those two aspects because we are running out of time on this the corrective scenario. Okay, but we still have time. It's just running out of time. All right. So it's slowly rising to 0.67. But my favorite indicator of all time, this is our go-to Galaxy Doc Markets go-to signal. All right, we got, what is this? Red right here, right? This is our McClellan Summation Index, and it is red, and it is now turning. MACD histogram is divergent, negatively divergent, and we're beginning to narrow this area, maybe beginning to form a MACD signal death hook. Now, so that means that we have the turn signal, and that means that the prices are going to be under pressure. And generally, this McClellan Summation Index, once you get that signal, it might bounce around in the markets, but it stays in that signal. It's like the Titanic trying to turn to avoid the iceberg. And once it's turned fully, it takes some time. It goes in that direction for a long time. Okay, it's just flashed the directional change. We need, however, before you jump all over this, okay, and go all in, MACD confirmation. Histogram is negatively divergent. Pay attention to this, folks. This is probably one of our best indicators for directionality and something that we teach in our coursework. Now, let's talk about our macroeconomic data because that is super important. All right, so basically, here's the VIX. Okay, VIX got everybody's hopes up. It popped and ran right into that 20 SMA. This is what 20 SMA looks like from that trend line. Also, we pulled back. It's not going to go up in a straight line, and we know that Memorial Day shortened week tends to be a little bullish. So Friday we got a sort of a bullish action. If you looked at it, other than euphoric feeling about Nvidia, there are a lot of stocks taking it up on the chin on Friday, especially the consumer discretionary types. Okay. And so we pulled back. We're basically in a channel, okay? And we're going to keep finding support in these areas until and unless we break out of this 20-day moving average. We're just going to be chopping around here. But I do believe if there is some sort of a news, it just seems like the market is ready for a little bit of a rug pull that's coming. Okay, the consumers aren't doing well. Nothing is doing well. The VIX, however, this is clear-cut suppression that is going on, folks. All right, so that's something that we need to look at. So now let's go into gold. So gold has hit all-time highs right here, 2454, and then we pulled back, okay, hard. Now, there is a little bit of a volume rise, but it's nothing significant compared to the buy volume. We'll have to wait and see, but it is finding support at this trend line that is forming right here. And, nothing goes in a straight line. It hit all-time highs. It's going to come back. It's going to find some support, and I believe it's going to go higher. Everybody, the central banks are buying. Okay, there's news I just showed you on the cycle. PBOC and the Chinese and the rest of the world, for that matter, the rest of the world's central banks are buying gold. Okay, gold is an inflationary hedge and a hedge against something bad happening in the geopolitics. Pay attention to what? You pay attention to China and Taiwan. Now, TNX, which is the 10-year treasury yield, okay, basically had a interesting week. Okay, after breaking out, we're running right into this 20 SMA. I know the Fed is trying their darndest to bring this to below 42.5. I just don't think it's going to happen. But it's finding support right above the 50-day moving average and 20 SMA. If it starts breaking out, all signs indicate that it may be wanting to break out. Okay, so look at the RSI from top-down approach. We're in an upward trend. We did run into 20 SMA. We're pulling back right to the 50 and 80 MA. But the MACD histogram is positively divergent. We're ready to make a bullish cross here, okay? CCI is already telling you that it's bullish. It's been basically very, very bullish on the way up, and our trend line is higher from the bottom, okay? So we're going higher, folks. We're not going lower, definitely, on this situation. We've got stochastic is fully directional, and on top of that, we don't have a full signal on the PPO, but it looks like it's trying to form one of these, doesn't it? Okay, so it's going to try to form one of these type of a situation, and that is bullish, folks. Okay, I did a video on one segment of PPO ADX bullish signal on Lululemon, and we're going to go over Lululemon in just a second. Okay, so we've gone over that, and then so let's go over what we are looking for in terms of what happens at the market tops. Okay, just 1 second. So one of the videos that I've done last week, you guys need to go back and look at that. But this is a blown up version of the SPY as I mark these. And one thing that's important that you guys need to understand that these giant stock splits, anything above 5 for 1, okay, like for example here back in 2022, Google reported 20 for 1 stock split, Amazon 20 for 1, okay, Shopify 10 for 1, and all of those basically was in response. We had a little bit of a pullback just like right now, and then we have a bounce, and then they start announcing these at near market tops. Since announcing that, basically after all of these stock splits occur, basically a sell-off had ensued during that time. Okay, so what I'm saying is, are we near the top here? CMG reported monster 50 for 1 not too long ago, in March, right? They're all going to do the split in June, middle of June. Nvidia just reported 10 for 1, and they're going to split it in the middle of June, okay? And so if you want to see that video in more detail, please look at that. Watch that. That was from last week. I've been pumping out video like once or twice a day. So will it continue to repeat? That remains to be seen. It's very important. All right, so let's look at. I'm just going to keep it to keep the for the brevity's sake. We're already over 15 minutes here, but SPY is basically a mixed bag right now. Okay, so basically, and I believe that it probably has a chance to go back higher, but not before it tests this high end break the end of that candle. Okay, so it basically needs to keep this area not break up above there. Because if it does, then it's going to go near the 535. But this is a bearish engulfing candle. We had an inside day on Friday. Okay, bounced off of the 20 SMA. And, if you look at it, if you look at the RSI, it is fully directional to the downside. I think really the thing that we need to make sure is that we get below the 525, then we'll be targeting somewhere between 520 down into the 515 level if the sell-off gets intensified. However, remember, we're running out of time a little bit on a lot of these situations. If the market decides to go higher, the Fed can move this market around up and down. Yeah, I think we can look at the top end of that range of that candle. So the breakout range would be the top end of that candle. And if it breaks out higher, then you know what? I'm going to say the market is going to go higher. And probably this sell-off scenario is likely over. Okay, but in this Memorial Day weekend, there's some China tensions. There's significant tensions going around. Gold price is at near all-time highs, and we want to make sure that you understand that on the thinly traded market, if something happens geopolitically, it's going down. Okay. So pay attention to that. We're in an inside day. We'll likely chop around. I think it's going to be a range-bound, low volume, choppy week, with a very defined, maybe 15 to 25 points higher on the ES, maybe 2.5 to 3 points up and down, unless something big happens. And that is a possibility. Now, as far as the MACD goes, we know that the MACD basically is negatively divergent on the histogram. We have yet to form a death cross, but it is getting close. And so the CCI Commodity Channel Index is negatively divergent, and we're below the 100 level. So it's going to get probably a lot more significant in terms of the directionality if the market decides to sell off. Stochastic is already rolled over, okay? And then on top of that, we have this PPO ADX formation, okay? Again, we have these in our courses. Okay, this is one of our go-to signals next to McClellan Summation Index, which has already turned negative. Okay, this is telling you that there's more downside coming on the daily on the SPY. So let's look at the weekly on the SPY. Well, weekly on the SPY is no different. I mean, basically, yes, we try to recover, and now we're running into some resistance right in these areas. And so that remains to be seen. And I just drew an arbitrary trend line on the RSI because I think it's just going to fail right off of here and come back down for one more flush. Okay, we basically failed right at this support line on the weekend, but this is basically the overhead resistance, folks. And I think a lot of times we had hit these trend lines. If you go back, back to this area, you'll see that consistently we'll run into these trend lines in reverse, and it may be happening the same way here. Okay, this is the weekly, and however, on the weekly, because it's been rallying for the last 3 or 4 weeks, we have this histogram that has turned positive. Is it going into the positive area? And that remains to be seen. Are we going to do one of these and then come right back down? If it does, then it's going to corroborate what the daily is telling you. Daily is already telling you that we're probably going to pull back a little bit. I'm not talking about crashes, but I think we're going to pull back enough to scare the bejesus out of people. Retail on the fear and greed is they're scared. Okay, and they should be. And then so that's what we got, right? On the stochastic front, yes, it's been bullish, but running right into that negatively divergent trend line. But on the PPO ADX, it's either one of these. I'm not sure what's actually the right one. Is it one of these? Or are we beginning to trying to form this bullishness, or are we going to start coming back down? Either way, this is a bearish formation. So this remains to be seen. Even if we sell off, this thing still could be making a bullish formation. So we need to watch this PPO ADX. Okay, folks? All right. So that's what we've got down here. I know that we're near the end of the trend. You know how I like to use my ATR. I like to use ATR not only as a average true range and also the momentum, right? And but also directional at major levels. If it changes direction, we've been going down, right? Well, actually, we've been going up for a few weeks, and so if this changes higher all of a sudden, then it means that we're going to continue going down. This market is near all-time highs. It needs a little pullback, right? Is it going to come? That is the question. So let's go into real quick what I've been talking about on Nvidia, right? There's some peculiarities on Nvidia. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Everyone knows that Nvidia is bullish as F. Okay, but they did do that 10 for 1 stock split. Question is it going to go a little bit higher, or are we going to finish off right at this Bollinger Band after they got everybody excited? Remember, these are due to split in June, okay? And you saw my historical analog on what happens with these monster size stock splits and what happens to the stock. Pay attention to this. There may be an opportunity here. I just don't know which direction. Is it going to be blue skies breakout, or are we going to pull back here and then retrace back down and then just destroy the bulls one more time before they go on their summer rally? Everything is not what it seems, folks. All right. So we had the negatively divergent MACD, but the problem is that earnings put everything up. Are we going to do one of these, or are we going higher? Okay. It's inconclusive. So I would stay away from Nvidia for now, unless you have some YOLOs out there. You think it's going to pull back, and because of you believe in this stock market split, then you need to basically play it that way. If you believe that we're near the top and we're going to have a sharp pullback before the summer rally begins, guys, summer rally is coming whether you like it or not. I don't care if you're a bull or a bear. It's coming, and we're going to be prepared for it. But I'm just telling you, there's better fish to fry than playing with Nvidia right now. Okay. However, Nvidia is also inconclusive. Are we continuing to have this bearish formation, or are we beginning to turn here? Okay. Don't know. It's inconclusive right now. All I know is MSI is divergent, and it is giving us a full signal. Let's look at Lulu, right? So Lulu is one of those things, and if you haven't seen my video about PPO ADX bullish signal, Lulu I described, I'm going to just go over it really quickly. I believe in the next 2 to 3 weeks, there is going to be a significant opportunity for Lulu to bounce. Lulu reports earnings on 6/5, and I think what a great, fantastic time for this thing to pop and just rip your face off on the rally and start stalling out right under on these levels. If you don't think Lulu can move, I got some news to tell you. Unless China invades Taiwan, then it's just going to keep selling off. But everything looks to be divergent. Okay, we have basically the RSI basically trying to get above this level. We have the MACD kind of forming this positive divergence. And of course, the main star of the show is that the Lulu is pinching, meaning that the crush indicator on PPO ADX is very, very bullish. Again, if you want to find out how we arrive at these kind of things, you need to click the link below and email me. Lulu on the weekly is basically at about rock bottom as it gets. We're beginning to bounce off of the support on the RSI. It's still negatively divergent somewhat. But we did find support at the lower bottom end of the Bollinger Band. This is weekly, folks. But you know what? Rest of them you can see that it's basically has a positive divergence for a bounce, right? This is what I want you to not discount the fact that never underestimate the fact that we have PPO ADX that is about touching each other. Okay, bounce is imminent on Lulu. I'm pounding the table, folks. Do not short Lulu. Okay, Lulu ain't going down much longer. Okay, in fact, you should be, well, not financial advice, but we're doing something else. Okay, we're not going to tell you. If you want to find out, you're going to have to find out how to join our group. Okay, now Tesla, real quick. Tesla seems to be forming an inverse head and shoulders too, okay? And I think it's going to coincide with this summer rally that may be coming. This trend line right here is key. If we break below there, we're going down. This is negated, okay? But I'm just pointing out to you, Tesla is forming a inverse head and shoulders with some positive divergences forming, okay? However, when you look at the MACD, it's like a mixed bag, okay? CCI is still negatively divergent, okay? So maybe one more push back down and then maybe have a deeper right side of the shoulder and move higher. But if it does, it really is not going to go below this 165, 168 level. Okay, so keep an eye on it. It could go both ways. Okay, Accumulation distribution is positively divergent, and we're near the bottom end of that move. So that means that the Tesla has been moving higher from the bottom, right? Could it be that we got one more pullback coming before it bounces higher? Okay, just food for thought, folks. All right. All right. Now, AZO. All right. Our group totally nailed this trade. AZO's in this volatility box right now. I think it's going to bounce around a little bit. Maybe it's got a little bit more decline coming. I think that CCI is at the negatively extreme level. Maybe we do pull back a little bit, okay, to the trend line. Maybe hit this 200 SMA and then bounce. Or we bounce from here, okay? But we got the PPO ADX beginning to form that crush indicator. We got the accumulation distribution still on a negatively divergence. And then, of course, the ATR is kind of in the middle. I think we may have a little bit more downside on that aspect, okay? So AZO, okay? On the weekly, though, it's fully bearish, okay? I think we're coming down below this trend line, maybe hit this 50 SMA, come down to this 100 SMA, coinciding with the bottom band of the Bollinger Band, okay? Everything is pointing down. Here's the thing, okay? Unlike the daily, AZO, this is why I think we're going down lower, okay? It's fully negative in terms of bearishness on the PPO ADX Crush Indicator. I just think that we have a little bit more ATR is beginning to break out. So, from that bullishness that it had, it reported earnings, I think it's going to move higher, which means the price of AZO is going to come down, okay, over the next few weeks, okay? That's what we got. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we're going to be concluding it here. Let me do some concluding remarks. So Memorial Day holiday shortened week of trading, maybe range bound and choppy. Maybe, we have an inside bar day. Like I said a couple days ago, we had a bearish engulfing candle formation that is pretty significant, but this market is manipulated. So it's whatever the Fed wants to do. Just remember that. If you remember that, half of your game's won. MSI is directional to the downside, okay, finally. But the histogram is negatively divergent, but we just don't have the full signal from the MACD confirmation on the signal. VIX is range bound. It's going to just chop around here unless we break out. There's a war or something, okay? While my market celebrating Nvidia's monster 10-to-1 stock split, history suggests that the top may be near when these monster stock splits. CMG's the other one, right? Go watch my video on this one last week, okay? We're running out of time for the corrective phase, but there's still some time left, and this is the time frame. May 28th to June 5th is my time window. Critical range is 534 to 522.50 this week. If we break below 522.50, I believe we're going lower to about 518 to 515, okay? Gold may be bottoming, so there may be an opportunity after hitting this 24.54. Watch LULU, okay? PPO ADX Crush Indicator is positive. Here's my watch list. Restoration Hardware is probably my biggest one. It is my consumer demand destruction play, and this is reporting earnings. Tesla, anything in black, it could go either way. I think Tesla has a little bit more downside. AZO definitely. The weekly chart is horrifically bad. The daily, of course, is trying to recover because it sold off so much. Okay, so there could be a continuation of the negativeness, or there's a bounce coming shortly, okay, on the daily. But the weekly PPO crush, they're opposing each other. Nvidia, again, I wouldn't touch this right now unless you're playing for some YOLO that it's going to pull back because it is near the top end. Home Depot, I think there's going to be continuation. Target continuation. VIX and gold, look for some positiveness, okay? Otherwise, that's not all I have. Join us at Galaxy Doc Market and follow us, like us, share us, and above all, comment good and bad below. And thank you, subscribers. Our channel is growing. It's incredible. I mean, I just started this 3 weeks ago from another channel. Please subscribe, tell everybody, share the videos, okay? I put a lot of time into this. If you want to learn how to work with us, okay, you can email me at coachbrandon@protonmail.com. Okay, I think some parts of the website is working, but you may want to go check out there also. Otherwise, let's grab some alpha. Bye-bye.